welcome to All Hail the Fail, the podcast that celebrates messing up spectacularly, embarrassing yourself repeatedly, and failing forward. I'm your host, Bofu-Glossop, executive consultant, coach, author, and proud of every failure and rejection it took to get me there. Today's guest is Bofu-Glossop. Mo is a senior tech consultant, coordinator, coach, and mentor providing delivery leadership for large enterprise digital transformations. She is also an ambassador for Women in Tech, a STEM mentor, and promoter of social equity and equity practices and movements including mental health awareness and individual representation without boundaries. Welcome, Mo.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here. That's a nice introduction.
Fantastic. Now tell me, if your best friend was introducing you at a conference, what would they say?
They will say that I really have this feeling that we're all very similar, as in like people, we're all the same, I think. It's more that our fears force us to find differences. So I think my best friend would more say, more would want to understand, what do you like? And then, she will go on about trying to say, okay, fine, have you thought about doing it this way? Have you thought about doing this way? So very much a cheerleader. But the flip side to that is I think I start to project my ideologies and my ideas of what good looks like. And I erase essentially the identity of the person that actually owns whatever it is that they're actually trying to do. So I think that's what my best friend and my husband will probably say.
You're a cheerleader and a cheerleading work in progress, I guess.
I'd say so. And then sometimes, and I think maybe it's a lot to do with how I was, my background, coming from an immigrant African family, but equally I went to a boarding school, which was Catholic in Zimbabwe. I think that strict sort of like environment also makes me quite focused on things, which serves me, but it means that sometimes when I don't find a focus and I struggle to go with the flow. So I become a bit of a compass, is what my friends and family say. Just kind of like turn around until I need grounding.
That is really interesting. I've never heard of anyone refer to themselves as the compass, but it kind of makes sense, right? Spinning around until you find your target.
Yeah. So that is that's how people would describe it. People that are close to me, I would say, yeah.
What are you most proud of achieving in your professional life?
I feel that I have not yet felt pride per se. And that's because I feel that I have approached my career and done like wonderful things that on paper I should feel proud. But I have been in this survival mode of just doing. I haven't had the time to be grateful. I haven't taken the time to be grateful, actually. And I know that now, I see that now. And I thought that, I'll just wake up with this sort of insight and be like, okay, fine, I will be grateful. Let me journal this. No, it's taking ages. So, so what I want to do is ask me again in 3 months, and perhaps I'll have a bit more, of an idea. But I am prouder of the fact that I am looking at myself now with the lens of what do I want to be proud of? Because I've done so many things, which are, like I said, technically, I say, impressive on paper, but I haven't found the voice. Because when I say I'm proud of something, I want to mean it and own it. I just don't want to say it.
Which I think is something which we all struggle with to some extent, especially those of us who have perfectionist tendencies. I will not say we're perfectionists, but we have those tendencies. And it is definitely an admirable goal to try and get to the point where you feel truly proud of it. But at the same time, I mean, objectively, someone would say you really have achieved quite a lot in your professional life.
Yeah.
Being a leader in the spaces that you're in, and also getting into spaces where traditionally we would not expect to see brown immigrant women, right? In STEM, for example, in tech, for example.
You're right. Absolutely. I don't know why I don't feel it. I don't know why I don't feel the pride. I can see. That's why I say on paper, I get it. I fully get it. If I saw me, if it wasn't me, I would be like, are you kidding?
But, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, are you kidding?
Like, you're really trying, like, but I don't feel it. And I don't know why.
I think that's also something really interesting, I guess, for people who are listening to this, looking at you and going like, wow, that's amazing. How could you possibly think that? Is that, it's a reflection on their own journeys as well, is that they could also have so much to be proud of and just not tapping into that gratitude, that pride, and that of truly owning your achievements as your achievements. So I will check in with you on 3 months to make sure that you have done this and my coaching side coming out, that you have something you're proud of.
No, I do want that. No, I do want that. And I'll be grateful, to have a little bit of a reminder to say, hey, do you remember you said that? Okay. One thing about me is that, and I like this part about me, is I try to be as transparent, as honest as I can possibly know how to be, right? So I don't want to give an answer or say something that I don't believe in.
That make your life as a consultant really interesting. If you're always telling
it does. But in some environments, yeah, because especially where you've got like a sales side, I mean, there is the truth and then there's the truth, right? So truth is subjective, and my truth is not necessarily the truth. So sometimes I have to look at what is it that the client actually wants to tap into that. Regardless, though, of whether it's in business or in personal life, I think that people appreciate connecting with a human, and I am a human. So that transparency, that honesty based on what I think and what I am seeing, and I'm happy to be corrected, I think gains trust. That's how I find that it serves me.
That's been my experience as well as a consultant, to be fair. But it wasn't easy. It's the only thing I'm saying. Like, authenticity is my preference, but it does not make for an easy life. I'm not going to pretend. I'm going to exploit this authenticity, this honesty, and ask you about a time you failed spectacularly.
It's so funny how I'm able to think of the failures, but the successes, I'm like, oh, I don't really know. I could not possibly.
I tell people though, especially when they're going into interviews or review discussions, etc., you shouldn't have to think about your achievements or your strengths. You should have them listed somewhere you could see every day and literally be able to go, my strengths are 1, 2, 3, my biggest achievements are 1, 2, 3, and just be able to repeat them, update them when something new comes up. But the speed and ease with which people can tell you what they're bad at in comparison to telling you what they're amazing at shocks me continuously. So I always tell people this, like, make a list, have it on hand.
Yeah.
Do not get stumped by this question, because people aren't hiring you or wanting to work with you for your weaknesses. They want to work with you for your strengths.
That is true.
Yeah. But tell me something awkward, something embarrassing.
Awkward, yeah. I think, a general theme I would say is that I can be quite impatient, right? So in a job context, I believe that, perhaps earlier in my life, I wasn't patient enough to sort of like stay in some places long enough. I kind of like enjoyed the good, and when started to become quite real, and I'm like, you know what, I've got other options, so if you see my CV, my career CV, I move around a lot, and that moving around a lot has given me a lot of insight and a lot of learnings. So this is why I'm really quite good though at identifying failures as learnings. So that part I'm okay with, because there's nothing I would change, otherwise I wouldn't be me, right? However, and I'm taking this learning into practice right now, I want to stick out at something that I'm working on for as long as, for a couple of years, because I want to see and have confidence and be able to look back and say, do you know what, I did that, because part of me wonders, am I not quite confident enough to just name my successes, because I'm not confident that I've got a physical evidence of them, because especially when you're delivering projects, it takes the change. It's going to take a long time, right? So there is no way really that you can see end-to-end change within even an 18-month period. That is, in large corporates, that's impossible, right? So where I'm at right now, I'm looking forward I've got no timeline, I've got no expectations, I've only got requirements. My requirement is I need to remain mentally stable, healthy, and well, because I like I said, my natural tendency to be an overthinker means that I can easily get into an anxiety sort of mind space. So I expect, my own expectation is that I'm in a place that supports my well-being, and also the fact that I've got a young family, that requires time, that requires effort, and I want that. Other than that, let's go with the flow, see what happens.
Earlier on in your career, there must have been some missteps that you made, not fully understanding yourself and not fully understanding corporate environments, big corporates, for example. Are there any of those times that kind of stick out to you as things you wish you could go back to your former self and give her some better advice on what to do instead?
So I'll keep it still quite generic because I don't want to like pinpoint a specific workplace for
No.
but
We are not about trashing workplaces here. We do not name names
but
about workplaces. I say very clearly, Google exists so people can find out whatever if they want to be snoopy, but we are not about trashing workplaces here. We are not burning any bridges. Like we want to be friends with
yeah,
everyone.
yeah.
I don't want to be sued. No lawsuits here. So please feel free
Yeah.
to be specific about the example, but generic about the context.
Right. Okay. So again, I'll go back to the theme-based sort of learning because I thought that there was a right answer. Especially when I was early on in my career, I thought, oh, if I do this, if I say this, there's a right answer, and but there isn't actually. There are just people, especially large corporates, politicking, and I thought, oh my God, politics is a curse word. I would never know. That is life. You might not be knowing that you're doing it, but you are. And if you are not aware, somebody's doing it for you. I suppose, it's naivety because like you can't grow years that you haven't lived, right? That's why you cannot make things happen that you haven't just gone through. So yeah, that sort of sense of trust, just thinking, oh, there is a right way of doing things. And really I kind of put that back to the fact of the way that the education system is, right? This whole idea of writing exams, yes, it's right, true or false, this binary view of life makes us people that are looking for right and wrong answers, right? And that takes away a lot of creativity, a lot of innovation, and a lot of you just basically don't connect with people because you're always looking out for, you know what, if you don't tell me the words that I've got in my brain, I'm going to cancel you, or if I don't hear these words coming from you, I think you're going to cancel me. So there is already suspicion, right? So I would say earlier on in my career, especially when I was just coming in from a grad scheme point of view. And yes, you can do the Google to see where I was at my grad scheme. It was this is the right thing, and of course, people don't take that because you come across arrogant. I would come across arrogant. If I would look back, I think perhaps I would come across a little bit arrogant or perhaps single-minded. Yeah.
Did you ever think you had the right answer and it turned out to be wrong and they get called out on that?
I have not had that per se, but I have felt myself not having or being like from an opportunities point of view. But I don't know. I don't know whether it was because of my mindset and approach of saying, this is what I think we should do, that single-mindedness that I'm talking about, or it was because this thing about opportunities,
Yeah, I ask because, to come to the realization that there is not only one right answer, which by the way, like I too myself came to that realization, but I came to it through failure, right? Because if I think about certain projects I was once on a project on a construction site, for example, and the client had a very clear idea about what they wanted, and what they wanted was to be able to get more money out of their contractor essentially and make sure they get more value. And my idea how to do that was like, okay, you're going to take a daily diary and walk around and take notes of every single thing they're doing. And, and it sounded like a great idea. And everyone was like, great, great, great. And the client was just like, who has time for that? Like, we have to do real things here. So thank you, 26-year-old. But that's not practical, right? And that was a really
yeah.
good, and that's happened to me so many times actually in my consulting career where I thought there was a right answer and my answer was the wrong answer. But you also get into this thing in consulting where it's like the playbook says it, the partner says it, the whatever, and it gets this group thing. So that's why I was asking you the question, because I was wondering if there was that kind of aha moment for you once as well, where you kind of went, oh,
Yeah.
that
Okay.
one
Right.
is not the right answer.
I suppose I can hone it into a specific example. It was about we were launching a new platform for managing service requests and change management, IT change management types of things, right? And my role in that was to shape a change champion network. The idea being to lead from the people. Basically have these networks of people that are focusing on different themes, different topics, and I thought, yeah, it makes sense. It's easy. In fact, I was doing my MBA at that time, and I knitted that into my MBA. So I thought, yeah, from a theoretical point of view, absolutely, we should have 5 to 7 people. It's just like an agile team, right? Typically, 5 to 7 people in a squad, and we should have them across the different regions, and we should meet once a week to talk about, this sounds all very common sense, like, why wouldn't you want this, but in reality, and I think it's the senior leadership, I like the idea because theoretically it all makes sense. But I think for me, my learning was that it just could not take off the ground. I just could not get people to be interested. And I realized that I made a big assumption there that people want the same thing out of work. I completely did not even consider that, of course, they are, natural champions. They're people that have got that willingness to do something. Those are the people that should just carry on actually advocating, right? But there are groups of people where the work is that actually need convincing, right? So I didn't do the work, nor did I have a plan to help people on the journey to change their mindsets from, I'm not really sure, or, I've got other things to worry about, try to bring them on to the camp. I assumed everybody would want to do it because we work for this company. So that change network didn't work in that context. And actually, I'm a little bit afraid to start a different one now. But
honestly, that's happened to me as well. I think everyone's tried to start some network and then found that nobody wants to go to this.
No one wants to join.
Your group that you set up on the intranet, online, on whatever, no one's commenting but you. You are the only one posting stuff. Yeah, I think we've all been there. We've all been there.
You cannot be relentless with the exclamation marks to show the joy and the excitement. But I do believe still, though, that people do want things that are easier. People do want to simplify their lives, but people can have got different ideas for why they come to work. And I think I see that now as well because, being a mom to a young son, my motivations are not the same. And yeah, I'm willing to go the mile and I'm not a oh my god, these are my working hours. I'm not protective like that, but that's my choice. But equally, I would not like it if I worked in a workplace that put boundaries around what I needed to work to prove I'm productive. I like the outcomes-based approach, right? Because tell me what it is that we're doing here. Do we understand the vision? And then I get on with it, right? Because you don't know when your child is going to be sick. Half terms are many.
There are a lot of half terms. It's true. As a person without children, I always kind of know because suddenly the streets are empty and I'm just kind of driving around and I'm like, where did everybody go? And I'm like, half term. Must be half term.
It must be half term. And just the unpredictability of life, right? Yeah. So that understanding, and also me, my own self, thinking, not everybody has the same motivations, right? But trying to understand those motivations, not force down those motivations, is where the job is, to be honest. And this is why I think change management is a really tough gig. And really, it's really difficult to find the successes.
Absolutely. Whenever I'm in an interview and people ask me, like, how will you deal with people not wanting to change and resistance? And I'm like, what are transformation jobs if not dealing with resistance constantly? Like, that's all you deal with. I'm really interested in how you keep going after these kind of setbacks or mistakes or failures or, just the grind of resistance, right? Like, what is it that keeps you trying again?
I just have hope that, if you keep going at something, there will be nuggets of inspiration, good things will come out of it. So I have hope. I think that is mine, why, how I keep going. But equally, like I said as well before, I'm quite able to not sit in a failure. That is a superpower of my. Oh my God! Look, you did get me. What I think is.
Yes,
There
yes.
it is. I didn't need 3 months.
Please, I'll send you my PayPal details. Please make the transfer today.
So, one of my superpowers is just that I don't give up easily. I take failings as learnings, and I actually enjoy to fail because I always think, oh my God, okay, what did I learn? Because I always think as well, this is the more existential me. There are messages from the universe because we are all connected, you know. So that's how I keep going, just hoping for more, but also taking whatever opportunity as a learning. Yeah. But I'm also quite I think you can get me on a hype squad. I'm quite a good cheerleader of others. I need to be with that for more for myself. Once I'm clear, even in my own head or by convincing others why we're doing something, I'm very able to shape what then we need to do, how, when. So this is why I'm quite good at delivery. I find joy in that because I'm just able to do it, you know. And this is why I like working in projects, right, and in delivery and in change management because everything is always different, and working with people, working in transformation jobs, like you said before, every day you're trying to convince someone, you're trying to help the people that already are advocates continue to be, you know, give them the material, help to communicate a message, you know, sure that there is some leadership alignment. You are trying to do all those championing type of things, but the real work is where you need to convince people in a way that they can trust the mission, because people are not stupid. Okay, people are, you know. So trying to go on a journey and say, you know what, let it make sense to you, because if it makes sense to you, that means that you can do it without any help because you're smart enough to find means and ways, but you don't want to do it because you don't understand it or it doesn't fit in your narrative of life. But understand the why, going to Simon Sinek, understand the why and contextualize it in how you think you can drive something forward, you know, like empower people. That is what I am good at, that bringing people on a journey.
As you've been talking, I've realized how much I too enjoy failure, actually. Like, I actually really get a kick out of it. I love it. And I actually realize I like it for completely different reasons. Because for you, it's a learning experience. For me, it's just fun to test my limits, to take chances. Nothing that bad really ever happens when you're failing in a work context. In most situations, I have been in life or death situations, and that's a different one. But most of the time, you sent an email and it auto-corrected to a bad word. Like, that's not the worst thing that ever happened. And so I really find real joy in failure. And that's one of the things I'm loving about this podcast as well, is I'm finding out other people's failures, other very successful people's failures. And it is honestly a pleasure to know that everyone's journey is different, but has the same struggles in it for many of us.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, but yeah, also I have this thing of thinking if you don't push boundaries, you can never really know what you're able to do. Okay. So I'm a bit of a stoic. And one of the things that I like to play back to people around stoicism is every human, on average, a really good one, was actually quite healthy and doing well and living in a hot country where they can get vitamin D. You know,
I do know.
has got an average of about 4,000 weeks to live. That is a fact, right? We do it for trees, we do it for animals. Like, obviously, we're an animal. So, yeah, there is a time limit. There is an average. Yeah, but obviously, the average is not the default. But just knowing that every week that goes by, you cannot get time back. Time is the only thing that matters actually in life, right? So try to do different things, and like you say, nothing bad really ever happens that you can't recover from, or you don't have the inner work that you can do to not to get over it, but to learn from it. I think we underestimate how capable we are as people, right? Because you get quite nervous and anxious. Oh my God, it's always about what other people think, you know that part is like, oh my God, but if I do this, then. But you just reminded me, sorry, of a story that a recent tragedy to me. I thought it was a tragedy. It only happened last week.
Yeah.
I'll keep it short, right? So I'm trying to set up a global town hall for the first time for the account that we're on. It's all very exciting. Content is great, done the work, it's all a bit, tight, but, that's what delivery is like. Then I was confident that I'd set up the right distribution list to target the right people. The distribution lists were not the right ones. Some people pinging me the day before. Oh, because I'm like, oh yeah, nice I can't wait to see you tomorrow. What? What do you mean?
What are you talking about?
And now I've got this whole agenda, all these people in. Last Thursday in the Holborn office, 10 p.m. I was just there thinking, what did I learn? Don't take deals for granted. Because that is the difference between communicating a message and not. And then the panic that follows. Some people are getting double messages now and they're like, what is this about? Confusion. Yeah, that was a squeaky moment. Squeaky.
You're still here. Nothing terrible happened. It's all good. It's just, an amusement that taught you, like, check the mailing list. Have someone else check the mailing list. Like, make sure.
Check the mailing list. And I have since also set a timer. I always used to think, who are these people setting timers before they send an email? I know what I'm saying. Send. It's just, you take a little bit of time, because especially when you've been looking at something for a long time, something about your brain stops noticing some of the details, and the devil is in the detail, right? And get one number wrong, and all of a sudden the timing is wrong, So I just, that experience last week, just kind of like switched on a light to say, attention to detail, do more of that. It's not your strength, but you need to do more of that.
Totally not my strength either. Cheerleader Mo, thank you so much for your time today. I have truly learned so many things, and I'm going to go out and get a timer, because this waiting before you send an email till you've read it, that is something which I think I'm definitely going to try out.
Yeah, but also remember that you cannot recall on a Mac when you put Outlook. It's a big learning, guys. You cannot do it.
Oh, yes. Big learning also is that Google doesn't allow you to recall after the 30 seconds or whatever you set the massive one to. So, another top tip, like, look after yourself. Everybody, look after your emails. Thanks so much, Mo.
No, thank you for having me here. It's been brilliant.